Hello and welcome to this gameplay overview of Badiya. My name is Ahmed Jadallah and I'm the Director of Development at Semaphore Lab and the game's director. Badiya is an infinite procedural open world set in the Arabian desert post-World War I. It's a survival RPG. Today we're looking at Alpha 1.0, which will be released on Steam Early Access on November 11, 2016. And currently this is the main menu. Obviously, in the game you have plenty of graphical options that you can tweak in order to get the best performance and quality ratio that you want for your game. Other values such as audio control, gamepad and keyboard support, game units, and many others. Currently I'm using an Xbox One controller on this PC version. However, you can also use a PlayStation 4 controller, as well as, of course, mouse and keyboard support. In the community section, you can notice that we have several community features, including a map editor, which will allow me to create my own maps and share them with other players. So you have the ability to create maps, place all the different objects, and a lot of details that we'll be gonna be going into more details on later on in the future. If I go back, we also have the development blog, a roadmap that will detail our short, medium, and long-term plans for the game, and a photo gallery to showcase the user-taken photos in the photo mode. So I'll start a new game now. We have 4 different modes in Badiya. Alpha 1.0 will ship with the sandbox mode, where the goal is to survive for the longest period of time in the desert. The other modes include story mode, co-op, and multiplayer, all of which will be coming during early access. So the next stage is to start with customizing your avatar. So you have different available options, including changing the ethnicity, the different facial shapes, different facial hair, skin tone, eye color, and even weight, because you can actually gain or lose weight in the game depending on your diet in the game itself, and that will actually have an effect later on your stamina and your ability to survive in these conditions. You can also set the height of the character, and on top of that, if you want to start with the purest mode, then you'll go ahead and select none for the starter kit. But if you wanted, you can select one of different initial presets. So you have a Bedouin Knight, a Soldier, Explorer, Aviator, and even a Cowboy. So with each of these, you'll get an initial startup package, including a few items that will just get you started, a few weapons, and some ammunition and tools. They can always start with a plain mode if you wanted to. So you can also obviously randomize your selection, but in this case I'll just go ahead with that. Up next, here you can select different settings, including the time format, weight format between kilograms and pounds, distance between metric and miles, and finally the temperature between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So with that all set, let's start our journey in Badiya. So now we started the game. As you can see, the whole world is procedure generated, and everything you're seeing is actually being placed at runtime as you're playing. This means that there are not going to be any loading screens while you're playing. There's nothing that will take control away from you, and loading will happen in the background. One key objective of the game was to actually achieve high quality graphics that are procedure generated, and couple that with full weather system simulation that will be helpful for your journey in the desert. On the top left you can see that I'm currently on day 1 of Badiya, and it's currently 1:20 p.m. It's July, it's 48 degrees, and obviously your first and foremost enemy in the desert is going to be the heat and the sun, so you need to wear head protection all the time. On the bottom left you can find some player stats, including health, stamina, hunger, thirst, and of course body temperature. So let's start by examining the environment. I can see that there's a Bedouin camp up ahead, and I can use my horse to go there. Now, even the horse, and obviously this extends to vehicles and other characters as well, will have their own stats that you have to worry about. So for the horse, there's a health stat and a stamina, so you can't just run with the horse all the time. One other feature of Badiya is that the music is actually adaptive as well. So depending on where you are currently and what you're doing in the game world, it will change in intensity and style. So notice as I'm currently riding, the music will change, and if I start running, then the intensity will pick up again. Here you can notice that there are cloud shadows that are coming from the clouds in the sky, and obviously everything is affected by the wind speed in the world. You discovered a Bedouin camp, and as that happened, the music smoothly changed to a specific track, which is also adaptive. So let's start exploring this Bedouin camp. So you can notice that in the camp itself we have different characters performing different activities. So one of the things that we will try to portray in the game is the use of different cultural instruments. For either this, for example, is the mehbash, which is used for coffee grinding. Different instruments for keeping and preserving water in the heat, keeping it cold. Obviously everything in the world is interactive, so you can see that everything reacts to your presence. And if I were to equip a weapon, you can see that everything is actually destructible. And it has procedural destruction as well. So depending on the kind of weapon that you're holding and the angle that you're holding something, it will react differently. And there's also sub-destruction as well, so it's different every time. One other component is trade. And you can trade with different merchants in this world. On the left you can see that, you know, this is the position of the merchant himself, and I get to buy different items and sell if I have something to sell. Of course, one other key aspect is the reaction system, which is going to be introducing in later alphas. So if I were to shoot or use my gun in this location, then characters who are armed are going to draw their weapons and aim at you cautiously, while others who are unarmed are going to be running away. Killing civilians will have consequences as well, so all that is coming in future versions of the game. Some of the loot boxes are going to be open, while others are going to be unlocked. You're going to have to unlock them using lock pickers that you buy. In this case, there's a quick mini game that you can do. In this case, I have multiple lock pickers, and I can attempt to time myself to align the moving object with the target. And if I fail to do that, you're going to be breaking one of the lock pickers. And if I succeed, then one of the locks is going to open. Obviously, the speed of movement and the number of locks is going to differ based on the difficulty and your unlocking skills in the skill tree. So now you're looting the contents of this box. I'm going to take everything in this case. And now I'm going to take a quick look at my inventory. So if I open the inventory, you can notice that since our last E3 demo, we changed the entire UI look to be a more modern, flat design, that still shows, you know, that what's happening as everything is happening in real time. You need to see what's happening in the background. So you have the different categories: crafting and inventory. Obviously, the subcategories for weapons, clothes, consumables, tools, and resources. Each of these can actually be inspected. So I can inspect this object. For example, it has a certain weight, value, and sometimes the damage rate that it can cause, and I can either wear it or salvage this object or drop it. Now I'm gonna take my horse, or take a new horse in this case, and move on to my next destination. In addition to horses and camels, you actually have different armored vehicles that you can use in addition to tanks. And those vehicles actually have quite a bit of things that you can do to them. So first of all, you can enter inspect mode at any point in the game, and that will allow you to inspect any of the items, zoom in and focus on them, and you can see like the amount of details that we try to put in all the models in the game. So things like dirt accumulation, all the detailing on the object, and even when you're doing that, you can notice that the focus is on the object in the middle while the background is blurred, and if you look at the background, then the object itself is going to be blurred. So kind of a cinematography trick to just kind of keep you concentrated on the model itself. Now I can upgrade this vehicle. So if I go to the inventory, I can go to the upgrade tab and inspect the different kinds of upgrades I can. For instance, I can unlock an upgrade that will add two dual cannons. So if I unlock it, now it's applied. I can add, there's a defensive section in the upgrade tree, so I can add front armor or back armor. I can also add exploration features such as a side light or six-wheeler mode or even camouflage. And if I do that, then it's going to change the look of the vehicle itself. Now I can utilize one of my weapons. So for example, let's use a Thompson machine gun. Now obviously this is the Thompson 1917 model, which was used in post-World War I. And so if I shoot at the tires, you can notice that the tire will actually go flat, and now it's gone. So what you can do in this case, if you have a spare tire on the vehicle, you can take the spare tire and at this point you can go ahead and equip it. So you can use it to replace the flat tire that you had. In addition to that, you have the ability to either take or put in fuel in the vehicle. So you can go to the fuel tank and either refuel the tank itself or take fuel from it and specify the exact quantity that you want to use. So at this point I can equip another weapon and start shooting at the vehicles. At a certain point, smoke is going to start getting out of the vehicle. If I shoot further, it's going to explode with different debris flying around in the fire itself. Now at this point I can loot the contents of this vehicle. If I decide to take all the scrap metal, and I can use it to either craft other weapons or upgrade them in a future alpha. But for now, crafting is possible through the scrap metal. So moving on in the desert. As you're navigating through the desert, you'll notice that there are lots of trees around, scattered around. So at this point, I'm going to craft a rock axe. So I'm going to use the crafting menu, go to Tools, and I want to craft one of the rock axe. So to do that, I was collecting different items, different crafting components, and there you can see in the bottom left that I have one that requires one single rock and two wood blocks. So since I have all of these, I can now craft the item. If I go back to the inventory mode, then I'm gonna find the rock axe. I can equip it. I can start chopping the tree. And once the tree is chopped, you can actually chop it further to get extra wood. Now obviously there's item degrade in the game, so as you're using these different items, you're going to have to be careful and take a look at the condition of each item before using it and the amount of usage. Now one other crucial part of desert life is hunting, and obviously we have different kinds of wildlife in the deserts, including the oryx, and many different animals, both wild and preys. The focus in Alpha 1 is on preys. We're going to be adding wild animals in the future. So notice that as I'm getting closer to these animals, they're running away, and so I have to use a long-range weapon. So I'm going to select Thompson, for example. Aiming, trying to hit it. Ah! Missed my chance there. Okay. Okay, got it. And so now in order to skin it, I'm going to need to use a hunting knife. So I'm equipping the knife, and I'll skin it. So now you can see that you can get meat, fat, and bones, and of course all of these will degrade as well with time, and so you need to make sure to use them or sell them before they go bad. So now I'm going to take all the items. I'll get back to my horse. Of course, while you're in the desert, you're going to find some remnants of the war, so different vehicles that are destroyed, and you can use for scrap to loot scrap metals from it. So as you're traveling through the desert, you're going to find different points of interest. One of them is going to be ancient ruins. And so each one of these ancient ruins is going to be different, and they are of different kinds as well. So before I enter this one to explore it, I found one herb that I can use. Now those plants and herbs, you can use them to create, to craft medical potions that you can use to, you know, for fever or for snake poisoning. And for stamina regain, so that will be very useful. And you can sell them, of course, for a high value. Now, as I'm inspecting the ruins, you're gonna find a different layout every time, a different size for the place. They're gonna be filled with different props that you can interact with and destroy if you want it, or take and loot, basically. So one other aspect of the game is that we have implemented touch bending for plants. So if you go through the different tall plants, you're gonna find that they're reacting to the presence of the player, to the physical presence. And you can see that if you zoom in on the different locations, we try to the best of our ability to implement things like, all the detailing, all the snow and dirt accumulation and aging and weathering effects on the different objects in the game. Now, in later alphas, beside Alpha 1, you're going to have these ancient ruins being guarded by bandits. So you have the option to either Rambo your way through the environment itself and shooting gun blazing, or stealthily making your way through to the treasures inside. Obviously, running gun is not really the way that the game is meant to be played. You have permadeath implemented in the game, so if you die, you're going to lose everything, you're going to start from scratch, so you have to be very careful in how you attempt the game. So you found one of the loot boxes in the game, obviously with the skulls lying around, so something valuable must be inside, and if you loot it, you're going to find different treasures that you can inspect. So if I were to inspect this old teapot, for example, you're gonna find that it has a high value, and you can take all the items and sell them later on at villages and Bedouin camps. Now, one other aspect of the game is cooking, and you can actually craft multiple meals in the game. So you have different ingredients that you can use. You've seen the consumables, all the different kind of ingredients for meals, onions, potatoes, etc. And you can use them to create or to craft or to cook all these local meals. And basically you get to inspect them as well, and you can sell them again. Clothing in the game, you've seen in the beginning that you had the ability to actually choose between different outfits. One other aspect obviously is switching between different clothing sets. So you can implement all the different individual clothing sets. Even for soldiers, like we have different outfits, different accessories and gears. And you can even mix and match. So in this case, I'm using an Arabian thobe with a cowboy hat, a soldier bag, and an aviator glove, for example. There's nothing preventing you from doing that in the game. Now to take a look at the different weather conditions. I'm going to, just as a developer, switch to force a certain weather preset. So you can see that I'm currently in November, so it's gonna start having more rain, and the rain has different intensities, light, medium, and heavy. And you can see that the ground will start accumulating water. All the objects will as well. I'm gonna switch to a snow preset, because it does actually snow in the desert. So you can see that with snow, everything will start having snow accumulation, and the accumulation is actually dynamic as well. So if you were to push over this spot, for example, you can see that the accumulation direction is correct no matter how the pot moves. Obviously, temperature is a big important aspect of the game. You have to keep yourself warm or cool depending on the current weather that you're in. Now let's take a look at the clear weather again. You can see the frosting on the glass as well, fading away. And now let's take a look at the sunset in the game. So here I'm again enforcing time of day cycle. So you can see the volumetric lighting, everything is dynamically lit. And as the sun sets, going to start to have, you know, different ambient in the whole scene. And like in real life, if you're in the desert, then at night you're gonna see the stars very clearly. And depending on the time of the day of the month that you're in, you're gonna see the galaxy, you're gonna see the moon in different phases. And of course, like you can hunt animals in the morning or in daylight, some animals can hunt you at night. We hope you enjoyed this preview of Badiya Alpha 1, and we're looking forward to welcome you to our Steam Early Access release.